up there? This is what it is in 1929 here. Welcome you to another video. Right here in front of us, right when I'm sitting in technically, is the car that we'll be talking about today, and the car that I promised that I was going to bring out. Now, I also promised that I was going to put in the name for the new channel, so I'm going to do that when I'm editing everything out. So, basically, this is the car that we're going to be doing, and I bet you're wondering, didn't you already do a peyote video? Yeah, I already did a peyote video, but this one's going to be going into more detail. So, enough about me talking. Let's get started with the peyote. Like we do with all our cars, we give you all the specs and we give you all the information that you need to know about any car that we have on here, or any car that we'll be talking about in real life that this car is based off of. So let's get started. The Vapid Peyote is based off the first generation Ford Thunderbird, and boy, the first generation Ford Thunderbird is, to me, the best Thunderbirds to ever hit the market. Introduced in 1955, the Ford Thunderbird was Ford's answer to compete against Chevrolet's brand new roadster, the Corvette. And boy, did the Thunderbird really did shine by outselling the Corvette by a milestone with 16,155 birds sold within its first year. This car basically had a lot of performance under its hood too. This thing had Ford's brand new 292 Y-block V8 pushing 212 brake horsepower. Ford's newly smoothed out 4-o-matic transmission basically gave this thing very good transmission shifting. It was an automatic, but it didn't come as a manual. So basically this car was very popular throughout the 50s, and you couldn't blame them. If a car like this can outsell the Corvette by a milestone, then you know this car was pretty awesome. This car didn't have the performance like the Corvette, because the Corvette technically had more performance, but the Thunderbird basically what the Thunderbird had that made it so wonderful and made sales really soar was its luxurious options. This car had some of the most luxurious and at the time state-of-the-art options that any car on the road did not have at the time. This car had power steering, power windows, cruise control, power seats. This thing had a lot of luxury options. Town and country radio. This thing was very luxury back in its day. Power windows was very luxurious back then. Air conditioning. This car had a lot of, at the time, very super luxurious options that made this car so popular. 0 to 60 for this car was a modest 9.4 seconds and a top speed of 100 miles an hour. So this car basically was very fast. It was, at the time, very fast, because at 100 miles an hour, to get a car to go around 100 miles an hour was basically breakneck speed back in the, well, it is breakneck speed, but that was basically amazing speed back in the 50s. Now, this car is very popular. The Thunderbird, it's been in production for over 40 years. I mean, of course, it ceased production around the mid-2000s, but the Thunderbird is Ford's most popular vehicle in the world, right next to the Mustang. This car is so popular, and they made a lot of them, around 50,000 of the first generation Ford Thunderbirds. I mean, yeah, that's kind of a lot, but then you got to realize how many of them survived, how many of them didn't get molested. So basically, this car, it's starting to get very scarce, but not scarce. I'm talking about like DeLorean scarce, or 53 Eldorado scarce. No, it's becoming that car that's going to be very, very hard to find soon. So, the peyote, it's been with us since Chinatown Wars, but its first introduction in the HD universe was Grand Theft Auto 4. This car basically wasn't very fast. It was just a cruiser. It was such a nice cruiser. This thing can hit 60 in around 13.46 seconds. That I clocked, and from 0 to 100 actually is undetermined due to this car's poor performance. But from 60 to 0 is a astounding 165 feet. And for a car of this age and of how big it is, this car basically can stop on a dime. Now, don't get me wrong, the Thunderbird is not a very big car. It's actually a small roadster, but this is a big roadster because back in the 50s, the cars were very big. So this was sort of small to us, but compared to or MG Midget or MGA from Europe. This car is quite bigger than them. So this is technically a large or small car if you just put it in perspective. And I like how that car hit me when I was trying to make a turn. But my overall appeal of this car is it's just an awesome car to drive. This car's customizations are really awesome. This is my personal car, and you can tell how when I customized it, I made this car look like it should have been. Now there's also other customizations you could put on this car, like custom bumpers, custom everything. I mean, it would have made the car look very nice. I mean, the bug catcher engines and stuff like that. This car has some wonderful customizations, and in my opinion, this thing should be a really good contender for something to be even cooler at Benny's Garage. So, my overall appeal, you can buy this car online, but you can find it on the street. They're not that hard to find, but if you go in certain areas, they're really scarce. But I'll just say this car is not that rare, but it's on the scale of having a little bit of rarity, but not that rare. Everyone should have this car, really. I mean, this car is a cruiser, and when you customize the engine options, this thing can really go down the road. This thing can eat the road pretty well, and for a car of this age, it really is pretty fast. I would say the stats for this car is probably the same as the Tornado, but we can't all agree on to disagree. So this is a really cool car. Everyone should have it. Everyone should have owned it. This is my first car, actually. So this car really has a meaning to me. So I have nothing else to say about this really awesome 50SR ride. My fault. This is what it does in 1929 here, signing off with the wonderful Vapid Peyote. I'll see you guys later.